Hi, this is Mark with Crew, and I wanted to tell you about how to use a life story in your weekly meeting. Every week in our weekly meeting, we have a time slot for someone to share their testimony. It's a highlight of our meetings, and all the students love hearing someone share their stories to get to know them better. Unfortunately, we often don't have enough people who have prepared testimonies to be able to fill those time slots. So we have begun using a life story instead. A life story is when they stand up front, they have 2 minutes to talk about anything they want to help us get to know them. It's great if they talk about their spiritual lives, but it's not necessary. After 2 minutes, the timer goes off, and then you tell the audience that they can ask the person any question that they want to. The person answers those questions, and after 2 minutes, the timer goes off again, and you're done. So that's it. It's a pretty simple way for people to get to know each other better and to have a more interactive meeting. Here are a few tips as you're leading a life story. First, identify the student. The best thing is if you identify a student ahead of time and kind of fill them in on what you're asking them to do, but it works just as well if you just pull them for the audience right there. What you're looking for is someone who's well known and liked, or also someone who maybe is in a social group or a school that isn't often represented up front. You can get them up front, they don't have to be well prepared. And also pick someone who maybe won't be sharing a prepared testimony later in the year. Maybe a new student who's not really ready to share their testimony, prepared testimony, but they could share a life story really easily. 2, explain it well. Don't assume that people know what a life story is. Every time you get up there, explain the 2-minute and 2-minute format. I'm going to put a timer on 2 minutes and set it for you, and when it goes off, then we'll switch to people asking you questions for 2 minutes. And when the timer goes off again, it's over. Make sure that the speaker and the audience both understand exactly what's going on. 3, respect the timer. The timer is one of those things that makes this fun and exciting for students and memorable. Keep it to the 2 minutes. If they don't know what to say, they're standing there awkwardly for a couple minutes, and it's kind of funny. If they keep talking too much, you cut them off, and they just don't get to talk anymore. It keeps the meeting flowing, and it keeps it fun and memorable. 4, cut in at the 2-minute mark. When the first timer goes off, stand up, go over there, and cut in and explain to the audience what's next. Don't make the person that's sharing make that transition and explain. It just makes for an awkward transition. So help make that adjustment smoothly by just standing up and explaining what's next. 5, repeat the audience's questions. Depending on the room you're in, sometimes not everyone will be able to hear when someone asks a question. So be sure you're repeating it to everyone loud enough that the person in the back corner can hear what the question was. If they don't know what the question is, oftentimes they'll just tune out or start their own little conversations in the back. 6, mention something you learned. As the person who did their life story is leaving the stage, mention something that you learned from it. Like, I had no idea, Bob, that you were a rodeo clown in the summers. So that's a life story. It's a fun way to get people talking and engaged at your weekly meeting.